You may be seated. Honored candidates for graduation. It is my privilege to welcome you to the commencement ceremony of Eastern Arizona College, culminating our 128th year. We are pleased to recognize our guest speaker, Emeritus Professor Ed Hunter. We shall begin tonight's program with an invocation offered by Cameron Bird, one of our honor graduates.
Our dear and kind Heavenly Father, we're so grateful that we could be gathered together today to celebrate this wonderful occasion. We're grateful for the things that we've learned and both life lessons and the knowledge that we've gained in our fields of study. We ask that Thou would please consecrate our sacrifices that we have made, that will be given to us, that we will be successful in our fields, and that we will be able to change lives, even if our own life may be our own. We're grateful for all the many blessings that Thou hast given us and for this wonderful campus. We ask Thee to continue to watch over us and protect us and guide us in our fields as we continue on, either in our education or in our occupation. We love Thee very much, Father, and we're grateful for all the many blessings that Thou hast given us. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Tonight, we make history. We are happy to announce that tonight's graduating class is the largest in the history of Eastern Arizona College. We have 613 candidates for graduation. This is double the number of just not that many years ago. We are also pleased to announce that for the fourth year in a row, out of 8,000 institutions in the United States, Eastern Arizona College has been named Best Value College in America. We wish to recognize dignitaries seated on the front row of the stage. From your left, Mrs. Tina McMaster, Secretary, District Governing Board. Mr. Lance Layton, Member, District Governing Board. Mr. George Lord, President, Alumni Association. Mrs. Jeannie Bryce, Provost. Mr. Ed Hunter, our honored guest speaker. Mr. Brent McEwen, Executive Vice President. Mr. Kenny Rhodes, Faculty Guest Speaker. Mrs. Lois Ann Moody, President of the District Governing Board. Mr. Richard Mattice, Member, District Governing Board. Now we call your attention to the honor stoles being worn by many members of the graduating class. The gold honor stoles trimmed in purple are worn by those students with the highest grade point averages during their attendance at Eastern Arizona College. Also, the solid gold honor stoles are worn by members of the graduating class who are members of the EAC chapter of Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. We salute all these honor graduates for their accomplishments. Behind me on the stage are members of Eastern's faculty and administrative corps. These professionals are truly the institution's most treasured resource. Please join me in acknowledging Eastern's dedicated professionals with a round of applause. In a special commencement tradition, members of the Eastern Arizona Junior College class of 1967 are celebrating their 50th reunion today. We are honored with their presence. If they would please stand, let's give them a warm welcome. As you know, Eastern Arizona College has entered into partnerships with Arizona State University and Northern Arizona University to offer students the opportunity to earn bachelor's degrees on campus in the Gila Valley. we would like to recognize these graduates. Each graduation day, Eastern Arizona College celebrates student progress and academic achievement. Eastern salutes our new candidates for graduation and wishes each of you continued success. You give us cause for high expectations and great hope for the future. At the conclusion of this ceremony, a reception in your honor will take place at the Gila Hanks Pavilion at the south end of the stadium. All students and guests are invited to attend. We shall now hear from Mr. George Lord, President of the Eastern Arizona College Alumni Association. Following Mr. Lord, we will be favored by a special musical number entitled Amparita Loca, performed by the EAC Symphonic Band under the direction of Mr. Jeff Despain. Provost Jeannie Bryce will then introduce our student and faculty speakers.
Thank you, President Bryce. Good evening, everyone. My name is George Lord. I'm here on behalf of the Alumni Association. I will be very brief. I'm proud to be an active member of the Alumni Association, which all you new graduates are now members. The Alumni Association supports reunions such as the 50th anniversary class of 1967 that are with us tonight. The association also supports other reunions for past groups of graduating classes such as sports, band, choir, and drama groups. The Alumni Association also prepares the Heligram newsletter that is published biannually for Eastern Arizona College alumni with nearly 30,000 current recipients. In my opinion, the most important role of the Alumni Association is the work done in conjunction with the Eastern Arizona College Foundation to raise funds for scholarships. These scholarships provide an opportunity for higher education for students who may not otherwise be able to attend EAC. Many of you graduating tonight understand the importance of those scholarships. Currently, approximately 125 scholarships are available to new and returning students through the donations to the Eastern Arizona College Alumni Association and Foundation. As you heard a few minutes ago, we have a record number of graduates tonight. To me, that means we need to work real hard to come up with a record number of scholarships to support our ever-increasing growth. I'm privileged to be a member of the Scholarship Selection Committee. It's really very rewarding to see the well-qualified students who need economic support given a chance to achieve their education dreams. On the other hand, it's really disappointing trying to select scholarships for a lot of people when there's just not enough to go around, even to very well-deserving people. Personally, I'm a member of the class of 1966. I have many, many special memories of my 2 years here at Eastern Arizona College. The most special memory I have was meeting a beautiful, tall young lady who was just 17, and I was 20 when I first met her, and my life changed forever. Her name was Phyllis Martin. In 1968, she became Phyllis Lord and my wife and life partner. We graduated from EA in May of 1966. While at EA, Phyllis and I took many business, accounting, and office administration type classes from Mr. Ed Hunter. After graduation, both Phyllis and I immediately got good paying jobs utilizing the skills and knowledge we obtained from the curriculum developed and implemented by Mr. Hunter. With that strong start, both Phyllis and I had very successful careers in our individual business-related fields. Over the years, many times we talked about what great times we had at EA. With the unexpected passing of my beloved Phyllis in 2003, myself and the rest of the family decided the best way to commemorate her life was to dedicate a scholarship in her name here at EAC. The Phyllis Martin Lord Scholarship is an example of scholarships that recognize a special individual, but to support the education of future EAC students forever. For me, this scholarship, dedicated the name of Phyllis Martin Lord, completes the cycle of our lives together right back where it began so many, many years ago. It may not be as visible a memorial as having a building or a monument named after someone, but our memorial scholarship has been a most rewarding experience for me and for my family. In closing, I'd like to remind the graduates tonight we have had something in common. We both have shared the special educational benefits from multiple generations of highly qualified and committed educators and administrators here at Eastern Arizona College. Both Phyllis and I benefited immensely from our education from Mr. Ed Hunter and many others. I believe those of us who have benefited so much from this education from special individuals like Mr. Hunter have an obligation to help sustain that process, that special process, by contributing back to the future of the college. I encourage you to be active alumni, maintain contact with EAC through the EAC webpage. I also encourage you to contribute any amount you deem necessary or appropriate to support education of future EAC students. My congratulations to all graduates and their families on their achievements. To all the graduates, I would especially extend my best wishes for your continued success and happiness in the next chapter of your life, whatever, wherever that may be. Thank you, and good evening.
It is an honor to introduce this year's speakers for our commencement ceremony. They are Kelsey Traylor, representing the graduating class, and faculty representative Kenny Rhodes. Kelsey Traylor, daughter of Jim and Sherry Craighead, was raised in Page, Arizona, graduating from Page High School in 2008. Tonight, she graduates with 2 degrees, an Associate of Applied Science in Small Business Management, as well as an Associate of Applied Science Business degree. While earning these degrees, she has worked diligently to maintain a 4.0 GPA. She and her husband of 5 years, Ty Trailer, live in Pima and own 2 businesses in the Gila Valley, namely Trailers and Metal Mite Recycling. After graduation, Kelsey plans to put the business concepts she has learned into practice to continue to grow their businesses to better serve the people of the Gila Valley. Kenny Rhodes was born and raised in the Gila Valley. He is the 4th generation to call the valley home. He grew up on a small family farm near Fort Thomas and graduated from Fort Thomas High School. Kenny attended and graduated from Eastern Arizona College with an AA in studio art. From Eastern, he transferred to the University of Arizona and graduated with a BFA in art education with an emphasis in graphic design and illustration. After graduating from U of A, he attended NAU, graduating with an MA in secondary education and a minor in reading. Prior to starting his career as an educator, he worked as a graphic designer and illustrator for the University of Arizona College of Agriculture. During his 30-year tenure as an educator, Mr. Rhodes worked for Safford and Fort Thomas schools and will end his career with tonight's commencement as an instructor and art department chair at Eastern Arizona College. As an educator, it was always his goal to leave the program better than he found it. In addition to being an educator, Kenny worked as a wildland firefighter for 20 summers, earning the qualifications of engine captain, squad boss, and sawyer. As a firefighter, he traveled all over the western United States. Kenny is proud of Tina, his lovely wife of 20 years. He has 2 sons, Garrett and Austin, both of who attended Eastern Arizona College. After retirement, he plans to spend a great deal of time at his second home in Hawaii. We will now hear from our speakers in the order they have been introduced. Please join with me in providing our speakers a warm welcome.
Thank you. On behalf of the 2017 graduates, I would like to start by saying thank you. Thank you to the Eastern Arizona College staff and faculty. Thank you to all the professors, teachers, counselors, and tutors who made this opportunity possible. And thank you to all the friends, families, spouses, and children who supported us through our studies. Each of us here tonight has completed a great accomplishment. Some of you will continue on in formal education and earn higher degrees. Others of you have seen all you have wanted of textbooks, papers, quizzes, and tests. For the rest of us, we are still not quite sure what we are looking for. And we just might be back for something else. You never know. But for all of us, being here tonight is the culmination of hundreds of little steps. A few of these steps might have included staying up late to study for a test or to finish a paper, choosing to get out of bed when the alarm goes off just to make it to class on time, taking on a part-time job to have money for food or gas, creating your own schedule as you completed classes online. The list goes on and on. We all know what steps we had to take in order to be here tonight. In a book entitled Leading an Inspired Life, Jim Rohn states, quote, "Big achievements come one small step at a time. It means that you've got to enjoy the journey. It means that you must enjoy and take pride in your little accomplishments. It means celebrating who you are becoming in pursuit of your larger goal, and it means doing so every day," end quote. In the years that lay before us, we will find ourselves setting and pursuing more goals. Goals that will lead us on to become a better version of ourselves. Goals that will lead us to additional career opportunities. Goals that will lead us in strengthening our communities. Goals that will lead us on unforgettable journeys. These goals will take a bunch of small steps to complete. It is important that we embrace those small steps and let the journey do its magic. Ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu coined the phrase, quote, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step," end quote. And after that single step, we must continue to take individual steps to finish 1,000 miles or to reach our goal. These little steps are what make the biggest difference. They are what makes us into who we want to become, or they take us to where we want to go. We must not forget to celebrate and enjoy the accomplishment of each little step as we keep our greater goals in mind. Every day, we are taking small steps. We are learning, and we are reaching for our goals. Some days, we will learn what not to do. A few of us may have learned by now that binge watching our favorite TV series will get us nowhere to finishing our work. But we might also have discovered a new song that will help motivate us through the small steps of our 1,000-mile journey. Whatever it may be that we learned throughout the day, celebrate the new knowledge and apply it to tomorrow. It is important to always keep your big goals in mind. Do not lose sight of them, but don't let them overwhelm you. I would like to close by reminding you of what Jim Rohn said, quote, "Big achievements come one small step at a time. It means that you've got to enjoy the journey. It means that you must enjoy and take pride in your little accomplishments. It means celebrating who you are becoming in pursuit of your larger goal, and it means doing so every day," end quote. Congratulations, EAC class of 2017, on accomplishing one of your many journeys of 1,000 miles.
Wow, a lot of people here tonight. My nerves of steel just turned to liquid, I think. So well, I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. I've worked this talk up probably 5 different times, and thanks to one of my students, I reworked it again yesterday. A few days ago, yesterday, she mentioned something about, Mr. Rhodes, you managed to pull out so much personal information about all of your students. You know so much about all of us, but we don't know very much about you. So that's kind of my gift, I guess, is to sit and listen. I like to listen to your stories better than I like to talk, so especially about myself. So I guess tonight, to make a point, I'll tell you a little bit about my background. Here goes. It's based basically on growing up in a small community. A lot of you grew up here in the valley, and a lot of you probably grew up in similar agricultural communities. And as a country kid, I was pretty typical. I liked to play hard, and I liked to work even harder growing up. Growing up on a little family farm, you work a lot outdoors, and I ended up usually working for bigger farmers here in the valley, doing jobs that really some of them don't exist anymore. Some of you that are a little bit older might remember big crews of people out in the fields chopping the weeds out of the cotton fields. That has been replaced by technology, and that's not done anymore. And probably one of my least favorite jobs, but one that I ended up doing the most, was something called bucking hay. It's not nearly as fun as it sounds. A few of you probably remember that process, because I always worked for farmers that didn't believe in buying the equipment necessary to haul the hay out of the fields. So the way it works, let me describe it for you, is usually it was a group of about 4 or 5 people, normally about a 10 or 12-year-old kid driving a tractor or a pickup with a trailer behind it, bouncing through the fields, while the rest of us who were not quite so fortunate were out grabbing a 80 to about 120-pound bale of hay, throwing it up on a trailer that's about chest high. And the person on the trailer stacked the bales while the rest of us tried to keep up. And usually the little kid would speed up and slow down so you didn't know what pace to set. And that went on until the trailer got so full that it was usually 6 or 7 feet high. And you had to throw the bale of hay up there so it could be stacked. And that was quite a task for those of us who weighed about 135 or 140 pounds. It was rough. I can remember looking out over the distant end of the field in 105 or 110 degree heat, so typical here of our area, watching the end of the field look like it had turned to liquid dancing in the heat waves. And thinking to myself, man, there's got to be an easier way to make a living than this. I think my parents had always set it up with the farmer to get me to work so that I'd get an education. I've heard it said a few times here in Arizona that the heat will do one of two things to you. It'll either melt you or it'll forge you. I guess it's kind of up to your perspective on how you view things. In my youth, I learned a lot of important life lessons, things that have served me pretty well over the course of my career. One of the lessons was when you commit to something, you have to do your best to try to do it. Another, one of the more important lessons that I learned is that work ethic can overcome a whole lot of deficits. My high school athletic career is a good testimony to that. See, us Rhodeses aren't gifted with cat-like reflexes or blinding speed, so we always had work ethic to push us through. I always knew I could outwork my opponent if I just lasted long enough. So I can only imagine when I was here at EAC as a student what my parents probably thought. I was in, I think it was my 3rd or 4th semester, just filling out my paperwork to go to chiropractic school, and I came home and told my parents, I'm changing my major. I'm going to be an art major. Imagine what your parents would think if you told them that. A lot of you probably know my parents. They're sitting right down here at the end of the field. And the funny thing is that they're always really supportive. And as long as I was willing to put the effort forth, they had my back on it. So here I am, about 30 years, and I've kind of estimated about 7,500 students later. It's come full circle, and I'm seeing you off on your journey. Now, it's customary to give a quote at graduation, and I kept looking through, trying to find something that suited me and I thought would suit you, and I finally came up with one by a guy named Douglas Adams. A lot of you probably have never heard of Douglas Adams, but you know his work. He wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Let me see if I can get this right, because for me, some reason, this is a tongue twister. I may not have gone where I intended to go, but I think I've ended up where I needed to be. And if life has taught me anything, it's that you can make it work if you put the effort forth. As my sweet mother told me many times, son, it'll all come out in the wash. I think that's a Texas saying. My mom's from Texas. We got any Texans here tonight? Yeah. I figured they're everywhere. Yeah. Once a Texan, always a Texan. I want to redirect something that I've learned and over the years, how to redirect the conversation back to the students. Tonight, I would just want to mention that you students have had some really valuable life lessons. A lot of them didn't take place in the classroom. They were things that you learned outside of the classroom. Maybe it was your first time away from home, or maybe you moved out, but your family still lived here in the valley. One of the lessons was that you had to do your laundry once in a while. It couldn't stack up for a month because you just ran out of clothes eventually. Another lesson was that no matter how proud you were of that best meal you cooked, it never quite stacked up to what your mom cooked. And probably last, but most importantly, no matter how rough things got and how down you felt and how much you didn't know if you could endeavor, there was always help just a phone call away. I'd like you to take just a second to look up in the stands and locate that person who was there for you, and let's give them a big round of applause. I know everyone here that's graduating tonight had someone who had their back when things got hard. And I want to take just a second to thank the people who helped me get there, mainly my family. My family is an amazing group, and they're always very encouraging and supportive. My parents instilled hard work ethic in me, and always were encouraging when things seemed a little hard, a lot like a lot of your parents. I'd like to thank them. And I'd like to thank my kuuipo, my sweetheart, my wife, Tina, and the rest of my family. Now, as I started trying to think of a message to deliver to you graduates tonight, and I've had a lot of you in class, you're an amazing group. I couldn't go out on a better note. You guys are awesome. I kept thinking, what can I talk about that would possibly be inspiring, but something that they haven't heard before? That's a big note, because we all sit through graduations every year, and it seems like the messages are always similar. So I came up with an idea. I'm going to give an art history lesson. Sorry for those of you who have sat through my art history class. You just thought you had escaped me, but I have you as a captive one last time. There's no test on this one, though. So for the rest of you, unless you were raised in the wilderness by a wolf like Romulus and Remus, you know the artist that I'm going to describe. He lived 565 years ago, and he lived in a place and a time that was considered by most historians to be the greatest in the history of art. The time was the Renaissance, and the place was the Republic of Florence. Now, this artist was born under circumstances which at the time prevented him from many of life's great opportunities. The circumstance is hard for us to imagine as even being a hurdle today. The young man's parents were never married. You see, his father was from the upper class, and his mother was a lowly servant girl. Now, because his parents had never married, he wasn't afforded the opportunities of some of the other people of higher status. He was considered illegitimate, even though he lived with his father and his stepmother, and he knew his real mother very well. So because of that, he was not given the opportunity for a good formal education. Basically, all he got was some very essential reading, writing, and arithmetic education, and beyond that, that was pretty much it. He showed a lot of artistic promise at a young age, and his father eventually apprenticed him to a great artist in the city of Florence. Now, this artist you've probably never heard of. He was not only an artist, he was an engineer, he was an architect, and a sculptor. He was known for doing something that is, even by today's standards, very, very difficult. You see, he put a 2.5-ton bronze orb 300 feet up atop the largest masonry dome ever constructed in the history of humanity. His name is Andrea del Verrocchio, and this was the young artist's master. Now, after serving his apprenticeship, the artist went on to work for some of the biggest hitters of the time. He worked for the Medici family, which was probably one of the wealthiest families in all of Europe. He eventually worked for the Borgia family, the family of the Pope. He worked for Ludovico Sforza, the Duke of Milan, and eventually for King Francis I, the King of France. He'd made the big leagues in spite of his background. The artist was the epitome of what we call a Renaissance man, meaning he was multi-talented. He was an architect, a painter, a sculptor, a writer, a mechanical engineer, a cartographer, a military engineer, a musician, a botanist, a hydraulic engineer, a teacher, a metalsmith, and mapped the systems of the human body. Those were just some of his many talents. This man, who was born without privilege, created some of the greatest works in the history of art. He created a painting called The Virgin of the Rocks, The Annunciation, a famous sketch mapping out the human body that we know today as the Vitruvian Man. Do I see some lights coming on out there? He also painted arguably the most famous portrait in the history of painting, My Lady Lisa, or we know her as the Mona Lisa. In the 1990s, one of his sketchbooks sold at auction for $30.8 million to Bill Gates. Now, If you haven't figured out who this genius is that I'm describing, who was raised outside of the circles of privilege, who gave humanity inventions and beauty that are too numerous to mention, his name is Leonardo da Vinci. Yeah. My point to my art history tirade is just simply this. It ties in with the rest of my previous descriptions. Never let your circumstances define your success. And one of the lessons that I learned long, long ago while I was on our little family farm, that hard work can overcome big deficits. Hard work can make the ordinary become extraordinary. I want to say congratulations to this graduating class. I thank you so much for being part of my journey. Malama pona oi, ahui ho. Mahalo.
We are delighted to have a familiar face as our honored guest speaker tonight. Ed Hunter came to Eastern Arizona College in the fall of 1963 after teaching 5 years at Fort Thomas High School. His initial duties were teaching business, accounting, and secretarial classes. Change was on the horizon with the computer age around the corner. Ed was chosen to attend a National Science Foundation summer seminar on the topic of computers. The rest is history, as Ed became the face of computers at EAC for almost half a century. Starting in the original computer center at the bottom of Old Main, then transitioning to the old music and choir building, he brought EAC into the computer age. He taught thousands of students in the small, modified building that was the forerunner to the new computer complex currently sitting west of the library. Ed pushed for the change for EAC to transition from huge mainframe processing units to modernized microcomputers available individually to staff and students. He recalls the very first desktop computer he ever saw. It was a TRS-80 in about 1976. By the time he left EAC, the processing power of personal computers far outweighed what had been state-of-the-art science only a few years earlier. Ed had other accomplishments at EAC during his 40 years. He is particularly proud of being the original founding faculty member of the Intertribal Club, which helps Native American students acclimate and succeed at EAC. The club continues to be vibrant to this day. Throughout his life, Ed has received many accolades and has much to be proud of. Yet he is most proud of his wife of 60 years, Peggy Jean, and his 2 sons and 1 daughter. He beams with pride as he speaks of his 30 grand and great-grandchildren. He is truly a man we can all admire. I would like you all to know that EAC now uses its own programmers to program the computers and to do that for admissions, unlike other colleges who pay millions of dollars to buy canned programs and then supplement them each year for millions of dollars more. We can thank Ed for a huge savings for our students. Tonight, we announce that the District Governing Board has voted unanimously to name the Computer Commons area of the High Technology Building in honor of Ed Hunter. Please join me in congratulating and welcoming Ed Hunter back to Eastern Arizona College.
I want to thank my previous student here, and the board and the faculty. But most of all, like Kenny, I want to thank you that I have an opportunity to come back and see you. I so loved it over here as you went past us and we had a chance to see you go by. And Peggy is my lifetime love and companion. You see that turquoise and white pants over there? And gray hair, that's Peggy. Our whole life has been together. And you can't brag about it, you know. If you grow up in an older generation, that's what they do. They just stay together forever. If you grow up in a younger generation, it's a different value system. My daughter's right next to her. We went steady down in Phoenix and West Tempe for 5 years. We count time for 65 years, not to brag. We are truly blessed. Any of you feel blessed for any reason at all? You know, the key wisdom in being blessed is the greatest blessing of all is to be blessed and know it. Because really we're all blessed in so many different ways. And to miss it as it goes by is kind of sad. For Peggy and me, being at your graduation is a very sacred moment, and we're very thankful. Actually, Peggy and I first started serving EA students in our early 20s when we became directors of the Wesley Foundation, south across the street from the current library. EA had a Newman Foundation for Catholic students. We had the Institute for LDS students and us, the Wesley Foundation for Protestant students. We worked together, all of us, for student spiritual growth. Our student club president was quarterback for the football team, red-headed Bob Hamill. He brought his buddies over to the house. We had close to 100 members who liked hamburgers. We prepared our most popular spiritual program, hamburgers, a lot. My 3 kids, Kara, Mark, and Matt, grew up with this, with Eastern Arizona College students, just like you. It was such a blessing for us. Wisdom. You should know that the school from which you are about to graduate is a world-class collegiate educational institution. World-class collegiate educational institution. Feel blessed. EA has many individuals from countries all over the world who claim the school to be theirs and love it because of their fellow students. You guys. The teachers, loving teachers in this school. Staff members and administrators who cared so deeply about them in so many ways. That's how peace comes about, you know. Like Peggy and me, we own this institution. Oh, there's some people that work here, but it's our school. At that time, at the Wesley Foundation, when we first started serving EA students in 1960, 57 years ago, it is interesting to remember that 2 of our most popular and loved students at Wesley and campus-wide were Javad Ganji and Salam Salam. One claimed Iraq as their country, and the other claimed Iran. They were very popular on campus. Salam means peace. Things change, as you know, and we need to decide our political position. But Peggy and I wish we could go back to the past of Javad and Salam, because we know that somewhere in the world there are families who learned about the love their parents experienced at EAC, who have loving feelings about the United States of America. Wouldn't that be great if it were like that again? After 3.5 years at Wesley, we signed our first full-time teacher contract with EA. We signed 39 more, and we retired. That made 40. We thought we retired. The next year, EA invited us to sign another EA contract to teach at the Safford Federal Prison located in South Safford. Now, I'm leading you to a point, I would hope, of making a decision for yourself when you go to pick up your certificate or your degree, whatever it is. A new decision about where you want to go for the rest of your lives. People are always doing that. You finish one, and then you take on another. We could check out guitars at this prison. My inmates would, and I would, and we would have a gig at lunchtime. These are EAC students. They just live different. And I began to find a passion, mark that word down, for what was happening. I ended up trading my computers for a guitar and became involved in 17 years of prison ministry called Kairos, which means in God's time, at 5 different prisons, one in Colorado. This is what's happening to my life. We would be in prison for 4 days and a church at night. In prison, we would be singing passionately with 30 volunteers and 30 residents, inmates, mostly gangbangers from Los Angeles. Well, that's about Peggy and me and our passion and where we ended up. And we don't have the slightest idea how or why. Do you have the slightest idea or why you're going to take your next step in your life? This is just one story of how we responded to a passion in our life. So what are you going to be doing after you leave the EAC? Got it all worked out? Got it planned? We didn't plan any of this. Things happened pretty randomly. We signed our first contract with EA, going back to when we left the Wesley Foundation. We signed our first contract with EIA by flipping a penny. We had 3 contracts, and it came up EAC. And here I am, a teacher who designed and taught 52 computer classes, but whose favorite class was self-management, career, and life goal decision-making, and I knew all the latest techniques about how to make a decision. So I flipped a penny. Flipped a penny. I taught this class for 8 years and 1,200 students passionately. My job was to keep my mouth shut and listen to them, and I learned a lot. Each section was 25 students who sat in a circle discussing the meaning of life. We developed a term while we were doing this and looking at our lives because there were so many things that we didn't know why they were happening. We developed the term, the booming voice. Do you ever hear a booming voice in your life that helps you decide what to do? We use that for unaccountable situations, and all the students could pick their own meaning of what that booming voice was. Maybe the booming voice had something to do with it. You think? Maybe that voice flipped the penny. Could have been. We don't know. I'm going to tell you a love story. Do they have Kleenex in the chairs there? It's a beautiful story. Now, Peggy is always with me, and I'm always with her for 65 years. 90 years ago, and I'm 80 years old now, and Peggy's 80 years old now, but 90 years ago, I was laying on a table marked creation table. The booming voice was looking down at me, and all of a sudden it said, "Oh man, we've got serious problems on this one." And they were talking about me, and a lot of the people who know me know what the booming voice meant. The booming voice says, "I need a volunteer." And a hand went up immediately. A sweet, quiet voice said, "I'll work with him. I'll love him. All of his life, through the good things and the bad things." The voice belonged to what we call a rock angel, highest rank there is in angels. You figure the rest, what happened. Want to see a rock angel? Look over there. Right over there. A rock angel. That's the highest rank you can have. But you know, just like our previous speaker said, if you look out here, if you look at all these places here, there are more glows all over. And they're rock angels. They're rock angels, highest rank there is. You see over there where that glow is at? "Hi, sweetie. Am I doing all right?" And there are a lot of rock angels here tonight, type female and male. I had my 15 great-grandchildren, since I don't do computer anymore, they've taken the title. They are now the computer people. And they all have smartphones. I asked them to do research on male rock angels. Is there such a thing? Can it be? And it turns out there are. They have to change their vocabulary a little bit. They have to change it from "I want" to "I'll change the diapers. I'll help with the dishes. I'll clean the toilet." Yeah, some of you think that's pretty good, huh? And of their boy toys we have to give 75% of them away. This is all in Google. You just look it up. And our man cave, we have to give all the kids a key. That's all we have to do. I've been trying to be a rock angel, and I've had problems with it. I have real big problems with the diaper part. But I'm going to work at it because I want to be a rock angel. I'm going to finish this up by telling you about what Peggy and I have done for our passion. And you'd think after all the years that we've been here, over 50 some years, 50, 60, I don't know, working with people just like you, you'd think that that would have gone away. We'd be doing something else, but it isn't. We're still here. I don't know if it's the booming voice that wants that to happen. 4 things that we've experienced this year at Eastern Arizona College with people just like you. With the help of coaches Ryan McAdams, Sherry Kay, and their international ladies, we put on a steak dinner at the hospital to honor EA students who have come across the world to share their lives with us. We pray politics do not break this up. Let that be one of your goals. When you go up and you get your degree and you get that over with and you want a new degree, you want a new goal, think about that one to keep that going. This was a joint project of the Gila Valley Rotary Club and EAC. We've done it for 4 years so far. A true community college activity that promotes peace. We have been the international director of the club for 30 years. Number 2, with the help of Coach Jim Pryor, are you here, Jim? Sponsor of the Intertribal Club. Is the Intertribal Club here, some of us? We met with the club to talk the history of this awesome group and danced the round dance with them. We were so blessed and felt so lucky. We used to go make a bonfire out in the desert and do the bonfire there. They'd probably arrest you now if you did that. There is nothing more beautiful and sacred than that. We also talked about Ned Anderson, the first intertribal president, who should have a statue of him placed over by the big clock. Yeah, they're here. Ned was a full-blooded Apache from Miles, Arizona. First to graduate with a law degree. And 2 degrees from EA. One was a computer degree. He should be honored. That was one of our passionate blessings this year. Number 3, we sang with the over 100 students and community members the beautiful Messiah for the 80th year, according to Bruce Bishop, the director. It's how we, Peggy and I, know how old we are. When the Messiah is 80, right, is Bruce here? When the Messiah is 80, Grandma and I are 80 also. It's a good age. And number 4 that happened this year for us, look where we're at. She's over there and I'm here. How did we get here? Who would have guessed that we would be here on our 80th year doing what we're doing? One of my A students who became a college president had something to do with it. The board had something to do with it. And my loving daughter, who's right over there by the turquoise blouse, my loving daughter, Kara Calloway, who teaches part-time at EA in the Computer Center number 3, and others helped this surprise for the both of us. Thanks, Shug. Love you. And what do you think about how it happened? Did the booming voice have something to do with it? I don't know. Some advice. Always hang loose for surprises and passion. Put passion in your life. My favorite class, self-management and decision-making, would tell you that what makes life work are the agreements you choose to keep. And you did it for the seat that you're sitting in right now. You did all of the agreements, and now you're going to graduate. If you don't like your life, keep different agreements. Always go with a passion. You've done a great job keeping agreements with which have given you a seat here tonight. Now, when you pick up your diploma in a few minutes, what will your new goal for your new future that makes your life work, what will it be? Have a passionate, exciting life. Don't settle for anything else. Peggy and I never knew a bad student, and we know a lot of them. Peggy and I love you all a lot. In the midst of the craziness of the world in which we all live, the only thing that works is love. It's a great goal to set. Thank you so much for letting me be here.
Thank you, Ed, and thanks to all who have participated. We would like to express gratitude for the beautiful weather that we're having this evening. And now it's time. Executive Vice President Brent McEwen will now present the class of 2017 To President of the Board, Lois Ann Moody.
Ready, sir?
President of the Board Moody, I hereby present the candidates to receive the associate degree.
President Bryce, members of the District Governing Board, candidates for graduation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with my honor and privilege to accept the Eastern Arizona College class of 2017. The board, by virtue of the authority vested in it by law and recommendation from the college faculty, does hereby accept candidates for the associate degree.
Yes, ma'am. Kelsey Dawn Traylor. Joseph David Smith. Angela Joy Thorne Randall. Constant Michelle Martin Bonney. Terry Lynn Martin. Alexis K. Lutz. Robert Wesley Tillman. Lindsay Ray Griffin. Rose Evelyn Farnsworth. Alexandra Renee Medina. Alexandria Leanne Thomas. Brianna Shea White. Santana Joe Morales. Erica Brooks Morales. Barbara Lynn Hughes. Maria Lynn Kizar. Thomas Alvin Davis, Jr. Andrew Kent Richardson. Come by the records office tomorrow. Mason L. Burkett. Natasha Faye Harris. Tashayla Faith Bennett. Trevor Lance Chapman. James Gabriel Williams. Jose Manuel Cazares. Miles Taylor Miranda. Tony Lynn Lunt. Tanner Gage O'Coin. Angel Jude Rojas. Marco Ray Rojas. Madeline Sue Olmstead. Reagan Turner McCarthy. Veronica Isabel Preciado. Danielle Alexis Lopez. Taylor McBride. Stephanie Aliyah Manus. Marissa Webb. Marissa Yvette Mendoza. Gabriel Castillo. Elissa Rochelle Vigil. Shelby Rowena Aguayo. Marcus Anthony Aguayo. Heather M. Pollock. Jacob Aaron Lucas. Benjamin Irvin Nuttall. Talina Joy Campbell. Leland Sturdivant. Summer Dawn Sturdivant. Lenita Moreno. Christian Daniel Wasson. Brian Lee Logan. Mirta E. Albach. Spencer Dwayne Farron. Taylor Barney. Jaden Barney. Chantel Leigh Roanhorse. Damian Ray Yazzie. Kishana Sharice Logan. Rachel Jeanette Murray. Nicasio F. Garcia. Misty Lynn Chavez. Tashina Marie McKeon Aguilar. Catalina M. Short. McKenna Kayleen Beals. Morella Hazelwood. Kylie Beth Harper. Bianca Margarita Campos. Damian Tanner Jackson. Justin Allen Wilkins. Billy J. McBride. Misty Renee Wilson. Austin Mark Farr. Aubrey Farr. Shannon M. Montes. James Mormon Hunley. Emily Sue Hunley. Rebecca Jean Jolly. Rebecca Ann Davis. Mackenzie Aaron Davis. Valerie Nicole Bailey. Olivia Anim. Dallas James Sandoval Todd. Portia Naomi Covert. Is that wrong? Portia. Teresa L. Murray. Maya Aurora Moreno. Jesse Alexander Tapia. Brianna Gail Holiday. Rachel Joanna Timmerman. David Lloyd Allen. Cameron Vance Bird. Preston Dell Moore. Annetta Lee Ashby. Heather Marie Ward. Elizabeth Ann Dannenbrink. Liesel Ennis. Cresta Lee Rogers. Krista Noel Maltos. Jordan Lene Evans. Gabrielle Marie Rios. Dylan D. Hancock. Gentry Merritt Evans. McKenna Camille Stevens. Rachel Rose Holt. Erica Elaine Lorenzo. Bruce Anavitate. Estella Udall. Diana Jasmine Lomelli. Jessica Lynn Morgenthaler. Lydia Joy Richens. Luciette Rose Baker. Sarah Lynn DeHaven. Trey Alvin Bates. Dallin Michael Lutz. Joseph Delbert Allred II. Taylor May Benavides. Laken Hope Molina. Blessing Key Duncan. Brittany Joy Farron. Nisha Dawn Spitzer. Devin John DeGood. David Lynn Wells. Alexandria Renee DeMarcos. Monica Saldana. Laurel Dean B. Randall Scott B. Jason D. Boren. Cecilia Guadalupe Arbaca. Ian Michael Mortensen. C.J. Lane. Sarah Nicole Reitmeyer. Modesto Jordan Ortega. Molly Rachel Smith. Lindsay Rasmia Page. Helena Faye Juan. Courtney Jane Flake. Jewel Marie Plower. Corey B. Stacy. Jamie Ann Garrett. Jaron Levier Richardson. Matthew Zachary Garza. Stephen M. Bernheisel. Ethan Andrew Carnes. Haley Morgan Kane. Haley Nicole Stearns. Michael Hooper. Hanalei B. Dudoy Enos. Isabel Mejia. Gillette Paredes. Brittany Marie Rodriguez. Braylon M. Brown. Joshua DeErnest Holton. Keontae Gerald Edwards. Malik Glentrell Young. Madison Gabrielle McDonald. Denise Amy McCabe. Crystal M. Medina. Melissa Ray Lopez. Brittany Lee Moffitt. Erica D. Parnell. Tiana Dion Allred. Shiloh Raquel Whetten. Vanessa Ray Harris. Julia Maria Works. Abigail Josephina Segovia. Savannah Rose Freeman. Jason Kelly Udall. Sarah Elizabeth Alexander. Enid Ruby Montiel. Christopher Michael Lentz. Megan Sierra Larson. Jason Logan Parley. Alicia Rochelle Morris. Charla Danae Norton. James Raymond Murray. Gregory Allen Bowman. Derek J. Woslegel. Cassandra L. Woslegel. Daisy Silva Anaya. Naomi Pardo. Diana Estala. Emily Saint Dizier. Celine Elaine Marin. Ryan Thomas Para. Charlie Ileana Street. Jordan Lynn Carrasco. Catherine P. Marino. Alyssa J. Gonzalez. Tiara Ashteen Evans. Lillian Brooke Forgash. Michael Anthony Whipple. Amanda R. Layton. Adrian Paul Teeter. Leah Marie Talley. Ronnie Shea Bigler. Lauren Brooke Lewis. Serena Brianne Avila. Christopher Gabriel Gutierrez. Carlos Esteban Rivera Sotelo. Jonathan Isaac Nidifer. Caitlin Elise Duve. Michaela Brianne Capola. Cameron Burgess Capola. Corey D. Finch. Jessica Angelique Gomez. Raul Miguel Maza. Damian A. Mitchell. Kendra Leanne Lake. Leanne Heslop. Dimitri Allen Callas. Tyler Podzervinsky. Morgan Tiana Larson. Malia Molyneux. Aubrey King. Maria Carol. Savannah Nicole Bamey. Thomas Jameson Williams. David Alejandro Romero. Sione Kala Hautalu Talakai Jr. Serena Lynn Maines. Hope Noel Kelleher. Eric Scott Wiltbank. Valeria Treviso. Cheryl Ann Curry. Corey Leanne Neal. Russell D. Rapier.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attendance this evening to support these graduates as they reach this milestone in their lives. Our program will conclude tonight with a benediction by Lindsay Griffin, one of our honor graduates.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for the opportunity we have to celebrate this evening, our accomplishments we have achieved here at EAC. We're thankful for the lessons we've learned, the experiences we've had, and the friendships we've made. Please let us have our time here guide us in the future, and let us do well in our future endeavors, whether we are continuing our education or entering the workforce. We ask these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Remember the celebration down here at the pavilion? Go Monsters!
given us